Good afternoon. Welcome to the conferral of degrees for the 2012 graduates of Harvard Divinity School. It's a great pleasure for me, as for the final time as Dean of this faculty, to greet family, friends, faculty, staff, and graduates, of course, in particular, on this very happy and auspicious occasion. I begin, if you don't mind, with a brief word to our graduates. Whatever your degree today, you are, I am sure, aware, all of you, that you are here not solely because of your own excellence, but also because of those who have supported you along the way. We, your teachers and mentors, are terribly proud of you today, but no one is prouder of you than those who sit beside you and behind you, and in some cases above you, namely the families who have always been your biggest supporters. I like to recall, I'm going to give you a chance. I like to recall here, as I'm afraid my colleagues on the faculty probably know, an Arabic proverb at this particular juncture, one which goes like this: Al-qird fi ayn umatihi ghazal, which translated literally and perfectly is the monkey or the ape in the eye of his mother is always a gazelle. And you know that your parents have always seen you as gazelles, as your family has. And no matter what, those closest to you see you always in the best light and see and want the best for you and the best that you can be. So I'd like for all the graduates to stand and turn, and let's give a round of applause to our families. Thank you. Whatever your age or stage of career, graduates, today marks the commencement of a new chapter in each of your lives. If your education has been good, to go back to the Latin roots of the word educo, it will have led you forth, or in fact drawn you out of yourselves, especially yourselves as you were when you arrived a few years ago. If I have any wish for you as you go on to new things, it is that you will continue to push outward from yourself to go forth to do and to learn new things. You have such singular talents that all of us who teach have seen in the classroom and learned from getting to know and working with you during your time here. Please do exercise these talents now, for if you do, our world, we trust, is going to be different and better than it is now. At this point, it's my great pleasure to be able to introduce one of your own to you. Our student speaker this year, selected by his peers, and this speaker is Willie Francois, and Willie is about to receive the MDiv from HDS, and Willie, I will turn the podium over to you.
Thank you, Dean Guerin. Would you all indulge me for a moment and stand? And as you stand, I'll leave the details up to you. Some of you all can place your hands in a prayer posture of sorts. Others can have their hands shoulder width apart. Okay, hold that, hold it. Okay, great, great. Great, so now I can tell everyone I got a standing ovation at Harvard when I put this on Facebook. You may be seated. to Dean Graham, incoming Dean David Hempton, HDS administration and faculty, and my cherished partners in learning. I'm immensely humbled by the coveted opportunity to offer inspiration during this key moment in our lives. In Divinity Hall on July 15, 1838, Ralph Waldo Emerson addressed an aggregation of graduates of this same school. And on that Saturday evening, Emerson said to that energetic and promising group of aspiring ministers, "When you meet men and women, be to them divine men. Be to them thought and virtue. Let their mind, let their timid aspirations find in you a friend. Let their trampled instincts be genially tempted out in your atmosphere. Let their doubts know that you have doubted. By trusting your own heart, you shall gain more confidence in other men." The imprint of these words and the larger address are readily sensed and seen in the texture of our academic community. Then and now, Harvard Divinity School ushers its daughters and sons along a path of becoming infectious good for a multiplicity of communities. This inward odyssey transcends the particulars of what we've consumed intellectually, of what we've read. It's committed to what and who we become in the process. From Hinduism to film, Presbyterianism to poetry, HDS attempts to affirm and enhance our varied conceptions, the shades and gradations of ministry. We thought we were coming to an institution known for its history of scholastic excellence, but we mysteriously found unexpected and in some cases unwanted family. With house parties, trivia nights at Queen's Head, weekly trips to Thirsty Scholar, and late nights at Lamont behind us, we should never discard or reduce the friendships we nourished and the memories of communal jubilation, hope-filled dialogue, and spiritual cross-pollination. We are finished with elaborately choreographed dances to Love on Top and Single Ladies at the charity balls, and the spoofing reimagination of the idiosyncrasies of our stellar faculty doing theological review. That's all over. But we replace them with an excitement to create new memories and a resolve to connect our Harvard to the world. What will we become? We have commenced a lifelong conversation between these peculiarities, a theatrics of difference, and the traditions of Harvard. While we entered HDS negotiating a bevy of emotions concerning our belonging, the quality of practical experience, the level of cultural competence, or the daunting expectations of our denominations, our lives have enhanced this place. The stories of human commitment in the worlds of the borders, collecting rocks and water from New Delhi for noon service, sharing rich narratives of ex-offenders, empathic preaching with voodoo, meherista, and queer authority. Ironically, this brilliant peculiarity has made this place home for us. Like every class before us, and presumably every future class, the class of 2012 wrested HDS from its distant and sometimes depersonalized grip of its glorious past and tentatively recreated it as our nurturing home. We have nurtured our sensibilities for compassion, courageously interrogated the shadows of our own being, progressively grown tall enough to wear the crowns of truths, and even stubbornly opened our hearts to the sacred lives of the other. HDS has become our own laboratory of being good, being peace, being love, being truth. Here we have transgressed the imaginary boundaries that throw our worlds into immeasurable chaos and anchor tragic cultures of death. This productive transgression for the past 2 to 7 years respectively has taught us that people are more than just dynamic dust waiting for death's deadline. From that assumed dysfunctional alcoholic we avoid in Harvard Square, to that loquacious know-it-all in our Friday morning sections. We sure did want to be there. We are all sacred. Because of the culture of HDS, each succeeding stride will be reinforced by competitive love, incorruptible joy, and unswerving altruism. Holding in mind all the diligence and intellectual gifts with which we furnish this place, we must resist the easy impulse of entitlement. How easy it is to become inebriated with our achievements and the commendations of the world. Even on a day designated to celebrate you, the more courageous and memorable demonstration of human dignity is to think considerably of those who needed you to clinch this victory of dedication. This undertaking extends beyond self-satisfaction. The HDS journey has been a living libation to persons who will never have the occasion to walk these hallowed halls, to sit in Sperry Room, or to swipe a card to enter Andover Harvard Library. Unnamed and unknown persons will benefit from the drinks we have taken from the deep wells of knowledge and culture. Not just members of our families or those stitched into our known networks of association, but for that young man who is smarter than I, but is serving a sentence in Fulton County Jail. That young woman unable to push beyond the dynamics of an unplanned pregnancy. That person too timid to apply to Harvard because society taught her to mistrust herself. Make a quotidian practice of remembering and rethinking the gentle and robust and accidental nudging of people and events that helped you realize this moment. Maybe it was Mr. Bamberg who allowed me to pretend I was vice principal of Rosenberg Elementary School. Maybe it was Mrs. Cundiff who allowed me to head my papers Professor Francois in the 4th grade. Maybe it was that church mother at First Union Baptist Church who said, "Boy, God's going to use you." Or the tender attention of a single mother, a playmate, and a younger sister, or praying grandparents and an aunt. Whatever it was, I cannot selfishly address you with the misguided confidence that I achieved today in isolation. This moment is just as much about them as it is about we. What will we become? I close with this. Paul Tillich, one of my Harvardian theological crushes, details in one of his sermons the uncanny and eerie birth of a refugee baby boy. In the Nuremberg war crime trials, a witness testified who, due to the threats on his life, lived in a grave in a Jewish graveyard in Poland. A grave was the only place he and others could live in hiding after they escaped the gas chamber. While in that dank, dark, damp grave, he wrote a poem that described the birth of a baby boy. In a nearby grave, a young woman gave birth to a child. An 80-year-old gravedigger heard the wailing and strains of this forgotten pregnant woman in the grave and assisted in the delivery of that boy. This gravedigger sensed the potential for and assisted in the materialization of life in a Polish grave. We are like that 80-year-old gravedigger, midwifing the possibilities of the forgotten. Our work is to squeeze into the constricted spaces overcrowded with human potential and midwife new possibilities of community, subjectivity, intelligence, compassion, and resilience. We are going to the graveyards of urban centers, the graveyards of politics, the graveyards of academic institutions, the graveyards of hospitals, low-performing public schools, and even the graveyards of churches, to assist in renewal, new life, and resurrection. We are responsible to the emerging possibilities of life in stigmatized places. Oh yes, life can happen in graves. As we write extensively, teach democratically, serve unflinchingly, preach prophetically, and organize courageously, may our meticulous efforts wrestle to secure the seemingly obscured scale of justice and offer to those in graves the long-awaited opportunity to weigh in. This has never been solely about matriculating at the oldest university in America or intoxication with status and privilege this place imposes. This is about living out a brand of help of that ordinary gravedigger, prepared and poised to do the impossible. What are you willing to become? As we close this chapter, variously named and co-authored by each of us, we must relearn the world and subsequently ourselves. We open a new chapter of our lives endowed with responsibilities of prodding others to live up to their best selves. Thank you, Harvard Divinity School, colleagues, mentors, professors, administrators, staff, parents, and friends for holding us accountable to the checks we wrote at admission. After every office hour, noon service, community tea, section, and class, the achievement of the MDiv, the MTS, the THM, or the THD relates to the world and assures us that our checks did not return insufficient funds. Congratulations, class of 2012.
Thank you, Mr. Francois. This morning in Tercentenary Theater, here next to us, 137 degrees were conferred on the graduating class of 2012 here at the Divinity School. This is inclusive of degrees earned in November, March, and May. These were comprised of altogether now 86 Masters of Theological Studies, 43 Masters of Divinity, 3 Masters of Theology, and 5 Doctors of Theology. Today we have this opportunity in a somewhat more intimate setting to celebrate these degrees and the individual attainments that they represent. As each graduate is named and comes forward to receive his or her degree, if the graduate has indicated a desire for us to do so, we will have a brief statement to read about his or her plans. We will award diplomas by degree as we move through the ceremony now, beginning with the MTS candidates.
Catherine Mary Batlin.
Catherine will be starting a PhD in American Religions at the University of Texas at Austin in the fall.
Sarah Evelyn Bankert.
Sarah would like to thank her parents, Barbara and Dean, for their ongoing love, her advisor, Dan McCannon, for his guidance, the HDS staff for all they do to make this wonderful institution what it is, and her peers for the joy they have brought to her in the past 2 years.
Lucy Elizabeth Blau. Christopher Michael Blunda.
Next year, Christopher will be conducting research at Cornell University. He wishes to express his gratitude to the faculty, especially Michael McCormick, for his diligence, guidance, and encouragement.
Lori Catherine Carafone.
Lori will continue her work as a human rights attorney running the Boston office of Kids in Need of Defense, an NGO that helps unaccompanied immigrant children fleeing violence and persecution.
Vincent Derek Cervantes.
Vincent will be starting his PhD at the University of Southern California in Spanish and Latin American Studies. He would like to thank his partner, family, and friends for their support.
Laurel A. Clafton.
After graduation, Laurel will be moving back to England to pursue legal studies.
Joshua Carl Abramson Cohen.
Josh would like to thank Professors Amy Hollywood and Charles Hallisey for their teaching and guidance. He will spend next year on a Sinclair Kennedy Traveling Fellowship in Spain.
Madeline Wig DeSantis. Nicholas Patrick Dials.
Nick thanks all those who supported him through this process, Dustin, family, and friends, as well as the amazing faculty at HDS.
Nathan Dorman. Zachary Teague Dutton.
Zachary's degree is dedicated to Jason Dutton, his older brother, who taught him pride and the proper way to eat cereal.
Grace Cushman Egbert.
Grace wishes to thank her family, especially her grandparents, Joan and Bert Kessel, for their loving support. Next year, Grace will teach English and Media Studies at St. Johnsbury Academy in Vermont.
Sierra Elizabeth Fleenor.
Sierra plans to finish her first novel, fall further in love with life, and jump headfirst into the utter wildness of the unknown.
Brian Foote.
After completing his studies in philosophy of religion, Brian will return to New York City, where he will continue his work with the City University of New York.
Benjamin Freed.
Benj will be attending Hebrew Union College to be ordained as a rabbi. He would like to thank his family and friends for their love and support.
James Gregory Gibbon. Miriam Gondway. Sylvia Marcela Aralia Guerra. Hillary Haber.
Hilly would like to thank her family and Emily for all their encouragement, laughs, and guidance.
Jae Hee Hong. Jeremy Haynes. Mitchell Eugene Hanley.
Mitch is moving to England to research Muslim communities in East London. He wants to thank his professors, friends, family, and especially his wife Christine for their guidance and support.
Robert S. Harvey.
This fall, Robert will begin as the Director of Student Life and Diversity at the Fay School of Southborough, Mass.
Amanda Hassis Gainsbourg.
Amanda would like to thank her mother, Anne Marie, and her father, Mitch, her partner, Dave, and her little brother, Robbie, for their unending love and support over the past 2 years.
Esther Luann Suborger.
Grateful for questions explored, convictions refined, courage tested, and the chance to further pursue these inklings through doctoral study in sociology. Love to Ben, Mom, Dad, Paul, Karen, and Emma.
Hui Huan. Jennifer Renee Hunter. Itohan Mercy Itawanyi.
Itohan is grateful first to God, the HDS community, and family for this great accomplishment. She's ecstatic to leave HDS equipped to face a doctoral journey at Rice University and to return to her native Nigeria with head raised high to labor for change.
Dylan Robert Johnson.
Dylan is continuing his studies in the Hebrew Bible, Ancient Near Eastern Studies doctoral program at NYU.
Mark William Caras.
Mark would like to thank all of the wonderful South Asianists at HDS and looks forward to continuing his study independently.
Robin Klaus. Carly Christine Fox Knudsen.
Carly honors her mother, Karen Lynn, with this MTS degree and looks forward to pursuing her PhD this fall at Cornell University.
Mitchell David Kosht.
Mitchell would like to thank his family for their loving support, especially his parents David and Kim. He's grateful to have spent time here and does not know what joys his future holds.
Uman Kumar.
Umang wishes to thank all his teachers and the administrative staff, his family, friends, and colleagues who kept him going every single day of this odyssey at HDS.
Eric Lito. James Anthony Lopata. Matthew Lyons.
Matthew would like to thank his parents, Peter and Teresa, his brother Adam, and his grandparents, Joe and Rachel, without whom he would not be here today.
Carly Mayer. Ariane Mandel.
Ariane is looking forward to being a famous romance novelist and doing doctoral work in folklore. She'd like to thank her family, Noah, Erica, and Jacob, and her advisor, Kimberly Patton.
James Marks. Clayton Hoy-Un McClintock.
Clayton focused on religion and psychology and will pursue future study in psychology. He thanks the great teachers and friends, especially family, during his time at HDS.
Harsha Menon.
Harsha wishes to thank all the staff, professors, and her co-students, as well as her family, friends, relatives, and all the angels and saints who helped her get her degree.
Emily Jane Miller.
Emily wants to thank her parents, family, and friends, especially Hilly, for all of their love and support.
Heidi Lynn Morgans.
Heidi wishes to thank her parents, grandparents, and Eric for being so supportive of all her educational endeavors.
Joshua Clark Mugler.
Joshua is going on to the Catholic University of America to begin a PhD in the Department of Semitics, where he will be studying Arabic and Syriac Christian texts.
Sophia Nosti.
Sophia would like to thank her family and looks forward to beginning her PhD here in the South Asian Studies Department.
Stephanie Therese Neely.
As a dual degree student with Harvard Law School, Stephanie is also being presented with her JD diploma by Dean Graham. Stephanie thanks her mom and dad, husband Max, and all her teachers and friends. These past 4 years have been a team effort. Thank you for all your support and love.
Elliot Niblock.
This year, Elliot has had the pleasure of serving as president of the WIC, the HDS literary magazine. He'll be moving to Montana in the fall to pursue an MFA in poetry.
Ronke Grace Olawale.
Ronke first came to Harvard in 2009 as a Nieman Fellow, and then to HDS, which has provided her an extraordinary intellectual environment for her to continue her career in development work through an MPA in Public and Nonprofit Management and Policy at NYU.
Stephen Payne. Paulina Piña Garcia. Heather Victoria Pritchard.
Next year, Heather will enter the Harvard Graduate School of Education's Master's in Education program. She thanks her family, friends, and the HDS community for supporting her.
Keith Proctor.
After graduation, Keith will continue to serve as a consultant to the UN on post-conflict development in Uganda, and will also begin a fiction writing fellowship at NYU.
Mir Mohammed Rusavi.
Mohammed will be studying bioethics at Yale over the summer and plans to attend medical school. He would like to thank Dean Graham for being a wise and insightful advisor.
Angel Hayden Reed.
Angel would like to thank the HDS community for all the good gifts. This place has changed her life and she will never be the same.
Robert James Rosa III.
Jamie will continue his studies of early Christianity at Harvard Divinity School.
Tracy Garrett Rubin.
Tracy thanks her father, husband, and children who endured her neglect, HDS staff who convinced her not to withdraw, faculty for encouragement and inspiration, and Kimberly Patton for believing in her.
Lisa Marie Sanchez.
Lisa is grateful to the faculty and staff for their support and compassion during her time at HDS. She looks forward to working in the Atlanta area and marrying her HDS sweetheart.
Nicole Michelle Sanfilippo. Matthew Steven Schmidt. Monica Elizabeth Shushu. Anna Colleen Shine. Sonia Soni.
Sonia will serve as a health policy advisor and pursue medical school in New York, and she is grateful for her family's endless love and sacrifice.
Michelle Yvonne Stanners.
Michelle will pursue her work in arts and leadership as a fellow at Harvard and in her home country of Canada. She quotes Michelangelo, "I am still learning."
Justin David Strong.
Justin would like to thank his parents, Neil and Catherine, for their faithful support, the Howards for their gracious hospitality, and his professors for their invaluable mentorship.
Austin Hunter Jurgensen Taylor.
Hunter thanks his mom, brother, sister, sister-in-law, and especially his partner, Aaron, and says, "There's more to running a spaceship than answering a bunch of damn fool questions."
Drew Brandon Thomas.
Drew thanks his family for all their support and will be continuing his education at the University of St. Andrews in Scotland.
Timothy Kyle Thomas.
Timothy will be staying in Cambridge to continue with research and language studies.
Catherine Todd. Justina Marie Torrance.
Tina would like to give a heartfelt thanks to her family, friends, and mentors for all their love and support.
Corey Marianne Tucker.
Corey would like to thank her entire family for their encouragement, love, support, and prayers. She'll be attending Harvard in the fall to pursue a doctorate in religion.
Maria Tucker.
Maria would like to sincerely thank her parents, Charles and Mercedes Tucker, and her younger sister, Angelica, for all their love and support. She couldn't have done it without you.
Joshua Matthew Whitson.
In 2 weeks, Joshua will start as an area coordinator for Residence Life and international student advisor at Allegheny College, and would like to thank his wife, Emily, for all her support.
Catherine Joanne Risley.
Catherine will be going on to a PhD in theology from Boston College next fall, and would like to thank her parents for their love and support.
Ty Yule.
Ty would like to thank his family, especially his parents, Dennis and Carol. He's returning to Minneapolis to work with his community.
Chang Sang. With the Masters of Theological Studies graduates, please rise. Dean Graham, members of the faculty, family, and friends, I present to you the Master of Theological Study graduates of 2012. Candidates for the Master of Divinity, please rise. Eugene Rice Anthony III.
Gene's future goals include being ordained as an Episcopalian deacon, joining the U.S. Navy Reserve as a chaplain, and pursuing doctoral work in pastoral care and counseling.
Harrison Austin Blum. Jamie Cameron Bonney.
Jamie is doing a unit of clinical pastoral education at Hebrew Senior Life in Roslindale this summer. She plans to remain in the Cambridge area.
Jeffrey Kane Bridges.
Jeff would like to thank his family and Anne Marie for all their love and support.
Nicole Castillo.
Nicole will continue her work in women's advocacy and soon begin a pre-medical post-baccalaureate program. She is tremendously grateful for her family's love and support.
Willie Dwayne Francois III.
Willie will serve as Minister of Christian Education and Discipleship at Wheeler Avenue Baptist Church in Houston, Texas, and continue wrestling with the American Prison Industrial Complex.
Rebecca Heather Froome.
Rebecca is entering the Unitarian Universalist ministry to work for a world where justice and compassion cross all borders. Thank you to Alec Amen, her wonderful partner, for all of his support.
Stephanie April Garza.
Stephanie thanks her parents, Eliot and Rosa, for their love and support. Without them, this day would not be possible. She will begin an MA in social work at University of Texas at Austin next fall.
Frankie Elaine Gibson. Zachary Morgan Giuliano.
After visiting family this summer, Zachary and his wife Melissa will move to the UK for him to start a PhD in medieval history at the University of Cambridge, where he's been named a Gates Scholar.
Kaith Letitia Heller.
Kaith offers thanks to all who have helped her in this life, those who can be here and those who cannot, whether seen or unseen. Bless them all.
Charles Smith Hill II. Laura Bradford Hobbs.
Laura is deeply grateful for her time at HDS. She goes forth to begin her eco-ministry, integrating environmental work and meditation and meditation on the sustainable agriculture farm she's starting in Nicaragua.
Nicole Hoskins. Tracy Howe Wispelway.
Tracy's returning to music ministry and will be playing events this summer in North Carolina, Costa Rica, and New Orleans. She thanks the HDS community and her family for so much support.
John Jenkins. Jasmine Monique Johnson. JC Joseph.
JC will be pursuing a doctorate in systematic theology with a focus in ecclesiology at Boston College.
Helen Yin Kim.
Helen wishes to thank her friends, teachers, and religious community. She's excited to continue at Harvard for her doctoral degree.
Ying Young Kim. Yoon Kyung Kim.
Yoon Kyung says it was a great pleasure for her to study at HDS. She hopes to continue to study biblical theology and to become a professor at a liberal arts college in Korea.
Seth Francis Roller Ligo.
Seth proudly passes from this institution with these words so meaningfully in his head. Do-va-diddy, diddy-dun-diddy-doo.
Michael Thomas Lott.
Thomas would like to thank his family, Greta, friends, the congregation and praise band of Old West Church United Methodist, and Reverend Marion Easterling for their support and guidance.
Jocelyn Janine Luckett.
Thanks for the prophetic wisdom and spiritual support of Angel Deacon Roy. Love to Mama, Jay, and Pops in heaven. UPenn Africana Studies and Sacred Jazz Center, Alleluia, here I come.
Andrew Edward Merce.
Andrew would like to thank Professors Giles, Gatzo, and Hallisey for their mentorship and their support of Buddhist ministry at HDS. Anne Marie Masikas. Ree would like to thank her parents and Jeff for their support.
Christine McKellar Mitchell.
Christine thanks her parents, family, friends, professors, and staff, especially everyone in OMS, Carrie, Maritza, and Tim, for their support, encouragement, caring, and healing over these 3 years.
Elizabeth Buffington Wynn.
Elizabeth is so grateful for all who have companioned her on this adventure and so excited for what is to come.
Adam William Ortman.
Adam thanks his family for their strangeness, support, and love. He plans to spend the coming years confusing the youth.
Catherine Pater. Sasha Prevost. Maura Elizabeth Pulitzer Kennedy. Kristen Marie Rayleigh.
Kristen is thankful for all the family and friends who have supported her. Although she'll miss this place, she looks forward to bringing the riches of HDS to a residency and hospice chaplaincy next year.
Eric William Resley.
Eric will move to Washington, D.C. to start a network of neighborhood faith communities. His plan B, a sequel to his film debut entitled Stuff, Failed Church Planners Say. Sorry, Eric.
Darcy Alicia Roque.
A huge thanks to Darcy's amazing husband, family, and friends, and HDS professors and staff, especially Tim Welsky and Julie Field, who showed this aspiring minister what true ministry looks like.
Jonathan Morrison McKay Rogers.
Jonathan will be ordained in the Unitarian Universalist tradition on Saturday afternoon and is planning to pursue parish ministry, including starting his own congregation.
Julie Marie Rogers.
Julie's incredibly grateful to those who supported her during her wonderful HDS journey. Next year, she'll be right here in the Memorial Church, as well as at First Church UCC in Cambridge.
Maytal Sotil.
Maytal is thankful for her time here and for all her faith communities of support. She looks forward to spreading the HDS love and compassion to other communities.
Nicole Raquel Saxon.
Nicole will be attending the University of Pennsylvania School of Social Policy and Practice to obtain a dual Master of Social Work and Master of Social Policy degree.
Catherine Marie Scudera.
Katie will begin a 2-year ministerial internship at the Arlington Street Church UU this fall. She has great love and gratitude for her family, friends, and fiance for their enduring support.
Jessica Ashley Striscoe.
Jessica will serve as an associate pastor at the First United Methodist Church of San Diego starting in July, and thanks her family for all of their support.
Catherine Valerie Wilson.
Katie wishes to thank her mother, Mary, her mentors, Stephen Karen, and professors Janet Gatso, Cheryl Giles, and Kimberly Patton. Katie will be returning to California to write her first book.
Tyler Soani. Would the MDiv graduates please rise? Dean Graham, members of the faculty, family, and friends, I present to you the Master of Divinity graduates of 2012. Candidates for the Master of Theology. Julie Johnson Staples.
Julie couldn't have done this without the support of her family, her husband Brent, their son Justin, her parents, and the many, many prayers of friends here at HDS.
Ian Kinman.
Ian would like to dedicate this degree to his amazing wife, Kathy, who put up with his traveling to and from Brooklyn for a year. Without her love and support, this wouldn't have been possible.
Jean No. Would the THM candidates please stand? Dean Graham, members of the faculty, family, and friends, I present to you the Master of Theology graduates of 2012. The doctoral candidates will be hooded by the Academic Dean, Jane Smith, and their respected faculty advisors. Brandon Lynn Bain, Advisor Professor David Hall.
Dissertation entitled A Passionate Pacification, Sacrifice and Suffering in the Jesuit Missions of Northwestern New Spain, 1594 to 1767. Brandon thanks his advisor, David Hall, parents, Brett and Arlene, and wife, Nydia, for their patient support. He'll be joining the UNC Chapel Hill as Assistant Professor of Religion in the Americas.
Michael Beth Dinkler. Professor Francois Bouvon.
Dissertation entitled Silent Statements, Narrative Representations of Speech and Silence in the Gospel of Luke. Michael Beth thanks her family, especially her husband and best friend John, for being her cheerleaders and believing she could finish this race, even when she didn't believe it herself.
David Kim, Advisor Professor Arthur Dyke.
Dissertation entitled Law, Equity, and Calvin's Moral Critique of Protestant Faith. David is currently Assistant Professor of Christian Ethics at Colgate Rochester Crozer Divinity School. He would like to thank his parents, his spouse Teresa, and kids Maddie and Zachary.
Stephanie Louise May, Advisor Professor Elizabeth Schusler Fiorenza.
Dissertation entitled Contesting the Theoethical Rhetoric of Home, Feminist Postcolonial Politics of Space. Stephanie wishes to thank Bill and Alec for their patient support and Elizabeth Schusler Fiorenza for her guidance. As she completes requirements for ordination, Stephanie will be teaching locally.
Would the THD graduates please rise? Dean Graham's, members of the faculty, family, and friends, I present to you the Doctor of Theology graduates of 2012.
Well, graduates, as you depart, I will offer one brief, I think affectionate parting word to all of you. Being better educated than you were a few years ago means nothing if it does not mean being better able to handle the business of living a life that is more than surviving, more than supporting yourself, more than biological continuance. And as we've heard the many things that you are going out to do in the world, we know that it's going to be much more than any of those things. Enlightenment, as Immanuel Kant put it, means being self-sufficient in your thinking and judgment, and that we know you are. Gautama the Buddha put it differently in the famous report of his final words to his disciples, where he says, "You must be your own lamps, your own refuges. Hold firm to the truth as a lamp and a refuge, and do not look for refuge to anything besides yourselves. Everything in existence is transitory. Work out your destiny with diligence. Which translates today, I think, we have done what we could do here. Now we can only wish you Godspeed on your way. It is up to you to take charge of your destinies and find your way according to your best instincts, judgment, and values. It's up to you alone. In our eyes, as you know, as in those of your parents, you are all gazelles. Now go prove it.